room is a musty attic, but a little window lets in the stars. The name of my birthplace was Mucker. The natives of the place were known far and wide as Muckers, and this was oftentimes rhymed obscenely by corner boys, especially that Jackie house painter Brendan Bean, who called me that fucker from Mucker. The name was a corrupted Gaelic word, Oct.2017, meaning a place where pigs were bred in abundance. But in spite of all this, the townland stuck to its name. And it was in the Drumlin Hills of Mucker that I was born. My childhood experience was the usual barbaric life of the Irish country poor. I've never seen poverty properly analysed. Poverty is a mental state. You hear of men and women who have chosen poverty, but you cannot choose poverty. Poverty has nothing to do with eating your fill today. It is the anxiety about what's going to happen next week. The cliché poverty that you get in the working class novel or play is all formula. An early poem, Ploughman. I turn the lea green down gaily now and paint the meadow brown with my plough. I dream with silvery gull and brazen crow, a thing that is beautiful, I may know. Tranquility walks with me, and no care. Oh, the quiet ecstasy, like a prayer. I find a star lovely art in a dark sod, joy that is timeless, or heart that knows God. I was fond of the school book poetry, and they say that poetry is a gift from the angels of God. My teacher was Miss Julia Cassidy in Kidnamincha National School. Miss Cassidy hadn't an ear for the music, so it was Miss Moore took the singing lessons. Now she had no knowledge of the tonic solfa or the technique of the business, but she taught us the songs by singing them to us, and that's how we learned them. All along the walls during the singing lessons stood a row of non-singers. The crows they were. And I pity the crows just for one thing. At the end of each day, when we all got out, we all stood up, the singers, and sang a hymn. It was the same hymn always. Hail, Queen of Heaven, the ocean star, guide of the wanderer here below, throne on life's earth, we claim thy care, save us from peril and from woe, Mother of Christ, Star of the sea, pray for the wanderer, pray for me. Sure, it had a lovely air, and I'm sure that that Queen has prayed for me and guided all my wanderings. Now, no matter how poor I was, I always had a song and a prayer, a starry night, and Hail Queen of Heaven. I stayed in Kidnamincha until I was about 13 years of age, and then I became apprenticed to my father at the bootmaking trade. Everybody was poor and proud. My parents had nothing to be proud of, so they just carried on. We had little land, but into our house came what was known at the time as the dropping shilling. That was from the bootmaking and repairing. And sure, I dabbled in verse, and it was to become my life. 2 short poems. Fear. Let me be beggar wise, that no man may stoop to the secrecies of my dark clay. For I have learned to fear all curious eyes that peer. Sanctity. To be a poet and not know the trade. To be a lover and repel all women. Twin ironies by which great saints are made. The agonizing pincer jaws of heaven. My grandfather was a Sligo man, Patrick Keaveney. He was a school teacher, and he was appointed by the Board of Governors to teach in our area. He became involved with a young widow woman, Nancy Callan. She got pregnant with twins, one of which died, the other being my father, James. My grandfather, Patrick, was banished from the area, and he went to Tullamore, where he became master of the workhouse. He always supported Nancy and my father with money, a £5 note now and then, a lot of money, and loads of books. My birthday. My birthday comes as usual, as birthdays will. You can't keep the eastern sun on Cassidy's hill. You can't stop the clock of time on Adam's mill. You can't slip down your vest death's great pill. You must grow old, Paddy Kavanagh, so dream your fill. At any rate, Felix Meagan and Crying Phil, Paddy Brennan and Jordan must run still the same distance ahead of me. For good or ill, you cannot, Paddy Kavanagh, liquidate life's little bill. My father was a shoemaker. In the days when a pair of shop boots would be an insult to any man's feet. He was a small, lively, intelligent man. He played the melodeon till he was 40. Then he got married. One of the tunes my father used to play was called The Well-Learned Scholar. I don't remember if he played it on the last day that I returned home from school, but if he didn't, he should have. I'm sure it was easy keeping poor people poor. I used to hear people saying that God never sends a mouth, but he always sends something to fill it. A true saying, only that it seemed to me God seemed to always send the mouthful to the wrong address. In our case, such a heavenly mistake never happened. My father loved me, and I loved him, but he didn't like my daydreaming. I was a bit of a lazy bones, a bit of a liar, a bit of a rogue. And I was only afraid of my father when he had his spectacles on. Sure, he's dead a good many years now, and yet I know he's beside me, encouraging me on to become a great writer. I can see him smile, and he isn't wearing his spectacles. In memory of my father. Every old man I see reminds me of my father when he had fallen in love with death, one time when sheaves were gathered. That man I saw in Gardiner Street stumble on a curb was one. He looked at me half-eyed, I might have been his son. And I remember the musician faltering over his fiddle in Bayswater, London. He too said to me the riddle, every old man I see in October-coloured weather seems to say to me, I was once your father. My mother, Bridget Quinn, was a simple peasant woman. She was 20 years younger than my father. She was without any schooling, but she was very shrewd, a good judge of men and animals, and she was the best measurer of unknown quantities that I have ever known. Now, my mother wasn't a miser, and neither was my father. They both believed in eating well and giving their children good food. My mother was said to have what was known as the look of the money. All the hens and animals she tended seemed to prosper. She was a perfect partner for my father. In memory of my mother, I do not think of you lying in the wet clay of a Monaghan graveyard. I see you walking down the lane among the poplars on your way to the station, or happily going to second mass on a summer Sunday. You meet me and you say, don't forget to see after the cattle. Among your earthiest words, the angels stray. And I think of you walking along a headland of green oats in June, so full of repose, so rich with life. And I see us meeting at the end of a town on a fair day by accident, after the bargains are all made, and we can talk together to the shops and stalls and markets, free in the oriental streets of talk. Oh, you are not lying in the wet clay, for it is harvest evening now, and we are piling up the ricks against the moonlight, and you smile up at us eternally.